Welcome back to Unrendered. My guest is Senator Daniel Cummings. Senator Cummings, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much, Tony, and thank you for having me on your program.
Pleasure. Now, I know you as the manager of CWSA. It's been a while since you've been that. Tell me, what happened with CWSA, why you are no longer there?
Well, some people it would appear things that I'm no longer capable of doing that kind of work. And the capability clearly doesn't stem from my ability to function as a manager, but perhaps as my perceived political coloration doesn't dovetail with the government of the day.
So at the time that you came to the end of your contract, as I understood it, were you a known NDP supporter then?
Of course not. In fact, Tony, I have made my career out of being apolitical. In fact, all of the successes of the Central Water and Sewage Authority are largely attributed to our ability, the chairman, the board, the management, of keeping politics, party politics, out of the organization.
I listened to the Prime Minister in one of his press conferences, and he was referring to your departure from CWSA. He said that you never reapplied. Your contract came to an end, and you simply didn't reapply. And if you didn't reapply, well, you couldn't be considered for further employment.
Well, the Prime Minister, as everyone knows, is a lawyer. And the simple reality is I was contracted on a continuous basis. I had a rolling contract. The terms of that contract required me at the end of any term not to reapply, but to simply indicate my willingness to continue.
Did you indicate your willingness?
Which was done to the board of the CWSA.
Okay, well, that's, as they say, water under the bridge.
Of course.
You are now in a different role. You are seeking to be elected as the representative for West Kingstown.
For the second time.
Let me ask you a question, though. I'm still going to dance on the topic of water for a bit, CWSA. Your entry into the political arena, does it have anything to do with you feeling aggrieved by the way you departed CWSA?
Of course not. Tony, the simple reality is I am a professional person. I have served CWSA from 1982 to 2004. I rose from being the only local engineer to being the CEO. In 1987, I was made the CEO, the manager of the Water and Sewage Authority. And during that time, I served here, but I also was involved in a number of regional initiatives in the Caribbean Basin Water Management Program, CBWMP, and indeed in the regional Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association, which I headed for a couple of years. And I had actually become tired of CWSA for a long time. I made it public knowledge, and I discussed this with the board back in the 90s. And in fact, for me, the challenge was bringing solid waste into the umbrella of the Water Authority, and then irrigation. There's so much you can do to manage a water authority. It really is not a highly involved exercise. Once you get systems up, it becomes fairly routine.
Right.
And my interest then looked at where else can I use whatever knowledge and experience I have. And I remember trying to convince the board that the CWSA should take over that solid waste project, because we had there in the organization the people who could do it well. And I am very, very pleased that the board decided to take on that World Bank project. And as you, our listeners, our viewers would know, St. Vincent came out on top by far in the OECS in terms of that solid waste management project under the CWSA.
So you're saying basically that coming to the end of that contract, which you never seeked to renew.
Well, I did. I did say to the board I would like to continue for another term. Yes, but the board decided they have other choice.
Right. Yeah. But so you saw politics as the next best thing for you to do?
Oh, no. No, absolutely not.
No?
I've never been interested in politics. No.
So what got you interested in politics?
I got, at the end of my period of contract with the CWSA, I looked around for how I can become involved. I love St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I had offers up and down the Caribbean. I could have gone to St. Lucia, I could have gone to St. Kitts, I could have worked with regional institution. In fact, I ended up doing a small assignment with Anguilla. But I looked at what this blessed land of ours, what was happening to us as a people, and I didn't like what I was seeing. I really didn't like what I was seeing. So many wrong decisions, people not listening. And I looked at the systems that we have, the political system, and I said to myself, well, you know, it's one thing to sit on the outside and comment and criticize, but if you really want to make change, you have to get involved. And my decision was a pure, personal, sacrificial one. I believe that I love this country so much that I really don't want to leave St. Vincent. And for me to stay here, I can't sit and see so many wrong things being done, and that nobody seems to want to listen to any
So that's your big pull. You're drawn into the arena because you think you want to right
things are wrong.
Wrongs.
Things are very wrong.
Being a politician and being a representative of people, generally in one's background, there is some sort of demonstration of community spiritedness and, you know, being socially active, having social capital. Now, can you demonstrate this in your past? What have you done on that level?
Well, I tell you, Tony, I'm a member of the Rotary Club of St. Vincent's. And that, to me, is one of the most joyful aspects of my life. Because organizations like Rotary really have a unique opportunity to reach out and touch people's lives for the better. And we have done that in Rotary, as do other service organizations, the Lions and so forth. But I've seen the Fancy project, for example, with water, how you can mobilize a community, man, woman, and child, together with the staff of the CWSA, and with $60,000 put a complete system in a community that suffered for water for a very long time. And that is, to me, one of the most joyful moments in my life.
So it was a big social project, apart from just being infrastructural. It was changing people's lives.
Tony,
basically.
I said to people, in my youth, I spent 6 years with my grandmother. And I remember having to walk nearly a half a mile to go to a single standpipe to get water on a regular basis. And for me, seeing people receive water for the first time, it's a very special, it becomes for me very personal. It's like reliving my first experience of that. And that is the kind of passion that I brought to the business of providing potable water to all of the people of this country.
So we're talking about what you've done as a social contribution. I mean, you did that through your job, basically. And we're just going to quickly move on to what one would perceive a character trait of Daniel Cummings. You're seeking to be elected, and I've heard it expressed that people see you as being an old-fashioned disciplinarian. Is that a fair observation?
Old-fashioned, I don't know, but disciplinarian, yes. And I tell you what, I have come from a background where my own father, God rest his soul, had to leave school at an early age to essentially go and work and mind his other siblings. And he inculcated in us very strongly the value of education and to use your God-given talents. And Tony, to me, one of the most depressing scenes is to see someone who has a talent not putting it to best use. And a lot of my efforts are geared towards that. I see, in my early days, especially in my management position, I would be hard on people who I see would not take an opportunity to go to study, would not try to develop themselves. But I always say to them, I do it because I believe you can do better, and I want you to do better.
The thing about that is, it's a question of style and approach.
Yes.
I believe that
Yes.
generally the society would not want somebody as one of their leaders beating good out of them.
Of course not.
And this is the fear, I think,
course.
that people have of you.
Yes.
You're going to beat good out of them.
But you know, this is the irony of it, because nothing could be further from the truth. And again, Tony, if you go back to the CWSA adult education program, we didn't hammer anybody over the head. Nobody went into that program unless they volunteered. Nobody went into that program unless they volunteered. We encouraged them in so many ways. Because, you know, in these things, if people don't want it, no matter what you do, you're wasting your time.
So you can lead a horse to water.
Oh, you know, yes.
But you can't make it drink.
Correct. And, you know, one of the ways of doing that, you know, is by demonstrating from your own actions. A classic example, I mean, I had been there in the CWSA, I'd been to university and done my training, and I decided I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to go back to school in 1992 to do an MBA program. And I remember many of my staff coming to me and say, well, what do you want more education for? I said, but you know, I have to learn every day. And I tell you, that single act was, you saw a change in so many staff members. So many people avail themselves of all the myriad of opportunities to go and do evening classes, to study, do tertiary level programs. In fact, when I left the CWSA, I can tell you, that institution had a percentage higher of graduates than any public or private sector company.
And you think this was a lot in part to your doing?
Well, to the policy that the board instituted, and I played my little role in it. But I think showing people that, you know, you don't just talk the talk, but you have to walk the talk, and it helps.
Well, we're coming to the end of this section, and I'm glad that you're giving viewers a sort of background of who Daniel Cummings is, what he stands for. Just in summary format, what political equity are you going to bring to the table for West Kingstown? What is going to be the single thing that defines Daniel Cummings as a constituency representative?
Equal opportunity, my brother. Equal opportunity for all members of the society, regardless of political or any other persuasion.
So that's what you're going to strive for?
That is my fundamental thing. Equality. You know, whether you support us as a party or not is not grounds for you to get a job and not perform. If you didn't support the New Democratic Party and you have what it takes, you have a right as a Vincentian to your part, your stake of the pie.
We're going to go to a break. You're looking at Unrendered. My guest is Senator Daniel Cummings. When we come back from the break, we'll be looking at some constituency issues in West Kingstown.